My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
This is the Ontario International Airport stalking over the Emporia Place Apartments. And I've also documented the Ontario Police Department stalking me by helicopter over the Emporia Place Apartments. I've already had the fake sun over me at the Emporia Place Apartments. I've been documenting the entire property, every license plate that I can capture and publish regarding stalking with the government at Emporia Place Apartments. So the video that's going to be published regarding the prosecution of the people of the state who are under no circumstances, there's no privacy for the entity. This is terrorism by the entity. They're engaging in criminal conduct. It's public corruption, and it's a prosecution for terrorism. And the airport, that is, I just want to be clear, when I'm at the Stater Brothers, which is west, and you're seeing them stalking on this side of the street, the entity is doing this at Fern and Holt, and doing so while the people, this is psychopathic pacing. When the fake sun's over me, it's psychopathic pacing. While the entity is following wherever I'm at with planes, having no business. There's no planes and there is no business that the airport maintains where they just fly from the airport for miles to engage in cartwheels. This is ongoing stalking that I've been documenting. The entity is hovering from a distance and then engaging in what is hovering over Emporia Place, where I'm located, where the specific environment is located. And as I catch stalking, just like at the OVITT Family Community Library, this is Holt Boulevard. So they're coming what is south to stalk me at this location. And they're doing so as I am documenting it. And the entity engages in more of it. This is mentally ill. These are terrorists that crash planes into buildings. They crash into mountains and bodies of water. They murder people, and they do so intentionally. That's what's gang stalking at the Ontario International Airport. Those are the corrupt airlines that are sharing in terrorism, and they are being removed. They're being federally prosecuted, and the Ontario International Airport is being shut down. This is mentally ill behavior. Recall Safeco Auto, where the entity is gang stalking me with the Ontario Police. That's this property right here. And the entity is on video stalking by a commercial airline plane, and they are landing as though they're lowering elevation as though they're landing right here at the Emporia Place apartments, the ones that they're rising over as though they're taking off and they're starting from a farther location based on where I'm at, okay? The entity is engaging while I'm at the Stater Brothers. They're hovering in this direction, and then they're doing cartwheels to go right back toward this direction. This is the entity that's engaged in ongoing stalking, period. Ongoing aerial surveillance and nonsensical conduct with regard to making sense of what a legitimate airport is engaging in, and it is not this. The entity is going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted, and the Ontario Police Department are stalking with the airport, as you've seen the ongoing demonstrations by helicopter and by planes. And they're being disbanded for conspiring my murder, which the city of Ontario is doing while the entity is stalking as an airport. This is P.O.C. and the people of the state are as well. Okay, they're sharing in this, and this is why strangers are stalking me in the most absurd ways, doing so while they are molesting with impossible light activity. Monitoring in furtherance of murder. 8 Victor Nancy 886. And they're doing so in the environment where multiple shadows are present. This is Exhibit A. I'm prosecuting by the neighborhoods, the entire city. The city of Ontario is a violent sex offender, and it's engaged in domestic terrorism, the criminal conspiracy to commit murder. And that is shown through the specific environment, and where the airport is engaged in what is proof of stalking me for years, harassing and psychologically torturing and sexually violating, sharing in the perpetual sex offense with the people of the state who go into the bathrooms as the government to keep your genitalia under surveillance. These are the violent sex offenders who are terrorizing American citizens, and I'm prosecuting them. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, when you're looking at the airport, this is not published on the website, and this has nothing to do with what would be published when they're taking off from the airport, Terminal 2, Terminal 4, and taking off over that airport sky space and maintaining a flight to a destination. This is stalking. And Alan D. WAPNER, the airport authority, the so-called airport executive board, they're being prosecuted for criminal facilitation and for terrorism, for conspiring my murder for money. This is why this entity, the city of Ontario, were attending court hearings in my absence, while gang stalking me and conspiring my murder and stating that I'm dead, stating that I'm mentally incompetent, stating that they have any basis whatsoever to be entitled to my wealth, while they are demonstrating how absurdly psychotic they are, stalking obsessively. That is a plot for murder. And the entity's doing this with the Ontario Police Department, and it will be the gutting out of the entire city of Ontario. They're giving my money back, and they're also going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:14 a.m. All right, you're linked stalking. This is the entity that is stalking as I'm proceeding east on Holt Boulevard to engage in the cartwheels in alignment to me, okay? They fly up to where my person is. This is called stalking in the path. This is what they're doing while I'm at the Stater Brothers parking lot. They fly up to where my person is located. They fly up to a relevant positioning over the property to engage in what is a U-turn. This is called relevant positioning. They are literally stalking in planes. All right, and they're flying a distance. The Ontario International Airport, you see this? This is psychopathic pacing, one plane after another. This is what they're doing over the Ontario City Hall, over the senior citizen complex. This is an entity that's engaged in what is stalking through an airport, which a city government's going to be federally prosecuted for. And I just want to be clear, this is what Gavin Newsom has ongoing throughout the counties in California, while California is engaged in state surveillance and then abusing the mental health court system while they steal from American citizens. American citizens that are demon-possessed, 81317 Charlie 4, and are engaging in this system, this fraudulent system of stealing and defaming American citizens, stealing from them by defaming them while you're stalking them. Okay, this is including the governor. This is including the counties, the county sheriffs, the so-called police departments, the population, as I've shown you, as you can clearly see, Upland, California, and Ontario, California. And these are demons that are engaged. I just want to be clear. They're stalking right in on camera. This is an entity that is refusing to stop engaging in stalking. That's what this is. This is not normal conduct, and you already know that. But that's how you're going to analyze. This is the entity that is going to be impoverished. They're going to be subject to homelessness, and they're going to be subject to what are being institutionalized, and they're going to prison. They're clearly losing their position. The Ontario International Airport shall not exist anymore. But you're looking at what is ongoing determination to continue engaging in the criminal conduct. And they're just maintaining plane after plane after plane, and with regard to an obsession regarding monitoring me. And they're not getting any. They're doing this with regard to an obsession. They're not even getting my money. They're holding over my money. And the court that ruled on that and then left me exposed to this. This is relevant to what is an unlawful threat to my life, permitting them to my money in the first place. I'm going to federally prosecute. And the same threat is posed by Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, any of them. All right. They're ongoing delusional behaviors. They're obsessively stalking. This isn't traffic. They're maintaining surveillance, and they know who I am. That's why the government is stalking on the roads and the highways. This is ongoing criminal determination. I'm going to keep stalking you, period. It's not based on a bus schedule. They're monitoring. Because of the government's determination in the face of, they're not getting my, I'm going to let you know right now, they're not getting $1, and they're not going to follow me. Neither is Jason Fields. Neither is anyone else that I've already documented. Anyone else that I already said, you're blocked. I documented you. That's your sign. This is an entity, and this is the unlawful threat. No mayor is staying in office. And in Ontario, Paul Leon is being prosecuted by pure psychopathic pacing by the Ontario International Airport everywhere that I'm located. Okay, this is the entity, by the same with the Ontario Police Department. And Omnitrans is sharing, just like they have been in kidnapping, with the City of Ontario gang stalking and shit, just like they are with criminal summoning. And these demons are going to federal prison for it. This is P.O.C. This is ongoing determination. This is stalking in your face. Like any other threat, you're going to put that in court. It's a matter of documentation, and they are going to prison for these. They're being committed for it. And I just want to be clear, in the event, that's impossible light activity. All of that's activity. That's not coming from their headlights. These are demons. Those are demons. Omnitrans operated by demons, and that's why I'm subject to impossible light activity aboard the buses. And Omnitrans, also related to what is Alan D. Wapner, are determined to engage in terrorism, and they did it on video, helping my case. That's fine. I'm going to prosecute these businesses. The City of Ontario is going to be a ghetto. It already is. They're under the illusion of engaging in city improvements with regard to money that they've stolen. They're not keeping that money. And this is going to literally be a ghetto. Okay? This is the entity that is stealing my money and is obsessively threatening and refusing to stop when they're even caught. They were never even supposed to be caught. They were supposed to be in a court over my property that I knew nothing about, while they're kidnapping and stalking me and successfully depicting me as mentally ill. And that didn't happen. The entity has been forced to relinquish my money, and they're still stalking. And whatever court that is has left me exposed to this threat. I'm going to prosecute for that. This is all state action. This is all rooted in what is corruption. Okay, so Alan D. Wapner and Mike Lorenz, the City of Ontario, the State of California, is free to still gang stalk and terrorize me after they have found out that they're not able to successfully maintain my money, my trust, my any will left to me, real property, investments that they made with money that belongs to me, bank accounts that belong to me. And so now they're engaging in what is ongoing stalking. You're going to federal prison. I'm going to let you know that right now. And the ongoing stalking by the entity, including when I'm at the Stater Brothers, what are they doing? Hovering over the Stater Brothers. I have ridiculous evidence of psychopathic pacing over that parking lot on this side of the street. Okay? landing in planes on video, but also engaging in what is ongoing cartwheels and psychopathic pacing when the airport itself, there's only one, and they're engaging in all manner of this chicanery with this plane activity. It is relevant to surveillance. And psychopaths that are engaging in conduct which is highly unintelligent will just engage in it with a straight face as though it doesn't matter, I'm not caught, I'm going to continue. Those are the delusional psychopaths that are being prosecuted. Okay? Remember what's flying over the 10 freeway? Was flying through the neighborhood on Hawthorne, on Granada, on Plaza Serena, when I am being gang stalked by the entity on what is Deodore and Ladini, on 6th Street, 5th Street. This is the entity that is stalking me obsessively. And it is speaking to the people of the state that are stalking obsessively. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:22. This is speaking to the precedent that is established. The government's engaged in terrorizing American citizens in the United States. And they're doing so for financial purposes. Engaging in what is the plot to take your life by stalking you obsessively, and that's supposed to be the evidence that you're mentally ill, but for the P.O.C. The P.O.C. is going to be used to put them in mental institutions and in federal prison. Union Pacific is gang stalking with the city. That's the pattern of conduct. It's currently, by the way, 6:22 a.m. That's called amplified audible activity. Union Pacific is a terrorist and a sex offender. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. This is the entity stalking on this side of the street with Omnitrans again. This is where the entity has the fake sun from sunrise till sunset. And that is what is so obvious about what the entity is doing in Upland, California, by the way. This is the pattern of conduct, and this third party is engaging in what is stopping and loading groceries onto the side, on the side of the parking lot the moment that I take a picture of her vehicle, which she's aware of. She's a demon. And she's engaged in surveillance with the government. This is P.O.C. They're an engineered light. You could be loading whatever it is that you think is important. This is the pattern of conduct, license 9BTE 961. And this is where the entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing together. These are the people of the state. They engage in any method of what is pacing in the engineered environment. That's activity creation while the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance. This is relevant to the criminal conduct that I've been documenting at Stater Brothers, which anchors this venue, that are engaged in surveillance, including the demon-possessed employees, the demon-possessed patrons that are all pacing around with the government that's maintaining plane and helicopter. This is exactly where the entity is stalking by helicopter. The demons that conduct themselves as though nothing is happening are the ones that are being committed. All right, they're being federally prosecuted, they're being deported. These are sex offenders that are engaging in that pattern of conduct. The moment that I take a picture, you'll see it on the Google Drive. She's speeding through the parking lot. She immediately stops to engage in what is then pacing, any sort of means of picking up a homeless person and putting their groceries in the vehicle and driving off together. They're the people of the state they're monitoring. All right, that's a pattern of conduct, but it doesn't matter the extent of the relationship. It doesn't matter whether you have some prearranged, organized means of activity, because they do. It's relevant to the pattern of conduct. Crossing path in the environment, following where I'm going, doing so as you're seeing that environment which is remaining over me. The fake sun during the day, the fake moon at night, at all times the engineered light, which is not creating multiple shadows under light, under, first of all, the sun, nor in artificial light. This is the entity that's monitoring. And so this is a stalker that's engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so together. While I've gone through these neighborhoods and I've shown you the vast means of stalking as the airport is, there is no rhyme or reason regarding what they're doing. I've shown what is clear, blatant stalking. As I go to one side of the street, so does the gang stalkers in those commercial planes. As I document them engaging on camera, what no airport, what no government has any defense to regarding. The mentally ill that are demon-possessed, gang stalking me by planes, engage in more and more and more of it. And they're doing so pursuant to what is prosecuting that airport for criminally conspiring. Every airline conspiring murder, doing so while they have failed. This is the same population that's attending court hearings concerning my money and property, putting insurance policies on me, and I don't even know them, engaging in criminal activity, and then seeking to blame me. Again, not only did I not commit it, I don't even know them. They're engaging in stalking together as well as a community, and this community is a sex offender. This community is a vagina monitor. This community is a stalker. These are the demon-possessed in California, and they're also inside of Stater Brothers. All of it's concentrated inside of the venue, just like inside of the OVITT library, just like inside of the Upland library. All of this, which they're showing you that they're stalking, the psychopaths go into the grocery store and they're stalking. Okay, this is P.O.C. That's what you're deducing from the entity that is clearly stalking by helicopters and by airplanes, where no airport landings whatsoever have anything to do with what I'm capturing outside. Okay, and this is the entity that's engaged in that while they are obsessively stalking someone whose money they have lost. Not only did they lose my money, but the entity is going to federal prison, and it's going to be a matter of what is a federal prosecution that the government, the corrupt government, left the targeted individual who was clearly endangered by this ongoing elaborate scheme to steal in the first place, and left that target individual exposed to this ongoing criminal activity, which was executed by the government. It is insufficient that you're stating, oh, well, you can't keep the money and you have to give it back. That was a criminal act that was committed in the first place. And then they left that American citizen exposed to this system. This is why Jason Fields is not a friend. You're not a friend. The federal government is not a friend. Sitting around watching how I react to poisoning. Sitting around watching what happens when they're battering me and stabbing my feet at night. Sitting around watching the people of the state threaten and steal my property and engage in battery. Criminally summon the gang stalkers of the Ontario police on me while they're stalking me and they're being documented, kidnapping me over and over again. While you are engaging in, well, we gave the money back. No, you didn't. I still do not have my money, and they're still stalking in plain view, and they're watching themselves on the internet, and that is ongoing criminal activity that they then engage in because they're hostile demons. I'm going to prosecute for all of this. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and it is March going into April 2026. The entity engaged in what is kidnapping via criminal defamation in May of 2025. That's what Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police Department and Jason Fields, that's what they thought they pulled off. And I'm prosecuting Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, serving this criminal purpose. Kidnapping to defame in order to get away with stealing my money. Jason Fields is no friend. This is relevant to criminal activity that I remain subject to, and he is literally a feces consumer to even be deluded enough to be under the impression that you can come anywhere near me and that you're going to be viewed as a friend. I'm putting it all over the internet because it is relevant to prosecuting you, not just embarrassing him, but prosecuting him. Okay, you're not turning from by yourself. I don't care what your conscience is telling you. Under the law, the case has already started. You already went too far. You're not going from stealing, conspiring my murder to, oh, I'm your friend now and I just want to give this to you outside of a court, informally, while you're still being gang stalked, and I'm hoping that you don't press charges. These are demons that are going to prison. It is currently 6:32 a.m. at the Ontario Village Shopping Center where they're monitoring. This is P.O.C. P.O.C. All right, this is evidence which is more of the same regarding the unlawful threat posed by the people of the state who are terrorists sharing in what is murdering American citizens who are wealthy, who may not even know about the fact that they are wealthy, who may not know their true identity, while the government is keeping you under surveillance and is engaged in what is plotting your murder with the people of the state who share in that criminal ongoing purpose to stalk you in absurd ways, and they're demons that are doing that. This is the Nephilim that are monitoring American citizens. This is criminally keeping them under surveillance and doing so while they have plotted to take your life. And this is what the entity, the people of the state, that includes those that such as Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, Jason Isaac Fields, people that are irrelevant like Jason Fields, who become a part of the plot based on sexual relations, engagement in the pattern of conduct with fake family members like Tracy Banks, who I believe had sex with, if not everyone that I know, most of the people that I know. And they are engaging in that while they are targeting me. Sex is centered around the fact that they are demons. This is a Jezebel spirit. So these are perverts that have sex with each other. And then they're engaged in what is satanic practices centered around accessing my money, centered around stalking with the government. And that includes sex offenders of the Ontario Police Department. They're engaged in sexual activity with Tracy Banks, with these cult members. The Ontario police that are stalking in police vehicles and in helicopters, they're a part of the same sex cult. You need to understand that. These are mentally ill demons. They're demon possessed, in other words, and because they're demon possessed, because that's not an actionable cause, All right. It's not recognized under medicine as well when you're diagnosing. This is giving you context. They are demon possessed, and their behavior is the evidence of that mental health condition. So this is getting to what is in that mental health condition, which is rooted in demon possession. It is psychopathic. It's sexually perverted. It's obsessive. It's antisocial. These are the characteristics. It's delusional. This is everything that I have already proven with evidence. The entity is engaging in what is maniacal behavior. For example, getting the entity, the airport is in court, for example, the judge, the courthouse, and ongoing context is proving the airport is clearly stalking when I'm in a particular location and the planes are flying over me. And then you'll see in that evidence the evidence of more and more and more air traffic through the planes. That's that maniacal character of the demon possessed that are stalking. That is going to be used to diagnose them. And it is something that you are able to categorize regarding the entity, a group, a population, because they share a pattern of conduct. It is, in fact, identical. This is an entity that shares demon possession, hence mental illness, which is a national security threat because the government, the entity, this population is targeting American citizens, just like Stater Brothers, just like the city of Ontario, just like the government in Ontario, just like the state of California. Okay, so I want to make sure that this is clear. Jason Isaac Fields is one that represents what is an unlawful threat, and the reason why I'm honing in on that, because this is someone that is under no circumstances coming around me and has any consent to have access to my money, my property. This is not a friend, and that is not the only means whereby the government is going to rectify what is criminal activity that it engaged in and it facilitated and it enabled and it prolonged. Okay, and it's not going to do it through a terrorist, through a vagina monitor, through Tracy's husband. That is Tracy Banks. Just like you're not going to give my property to Eric Spencer and he's going to come deliver it to me. Whatever it is that makes the demon possessed think that Jason Isaac Fields is the acceptable terrorist, that's because they are delusional. They are. He is as threatening and psychotic and delusional as his wife, Tracy Banks. Period. And this is someone that represents a threat. Tracy Banks is a threat. Eric Spencer is a threat. Jason Fields is a threat. He's even irrelevant because he's just having sex with Tracy. He is nobody to me. Like any other stranger that's a part of this same entity. That's gang stalking. What you hear is Stater Brothers engage in the pattern of conduct. All right? Doing so while the airport's now flying over where they're gathering the shopping carts, gang stalking together. Just like they are as psychopaths pacing on the inside of a grocery store, which is documented, filled, riddled with impossible light, where they keep my vagina under surveillance with the public whose license plates I documented. Okay? This is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. together. And none of them are qualified to turn over property that should be handed over in a courtroom. That's what should be happening, and that's what should have already happened. I just want to make sure that this is clear because Jason Fields and these demons believe that they have authority, and they do not. You reek of Tracy Banks's vagina. You have zero authority. You are a clown, and you are blocked. And if you come around me, it's a federal charge, period. You should have no access to my money. It will be fully published on the internet. You have no secrets. If they're running and looking for you and taking your life, you don't have the protection that I do, and I will expose you. You having access to my money is a crime. You having access to my property is a crime. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 6:40 a.m. where you're listening to the airport that is stalking. That's why you're hearing plane engines. And it's not a takeoff from the OVITT Family Community Library. It's not a takeoff at the Ontario Town Square. This is not in alignment to those venues either. The entities engage in what is stalking in the same manner when I'm at the 10 freeway entrance. And this population is stalking. Stalking, period. And so is Jason Fields. A stalker is not going to engage in stalking me by virtue, oh, I'm stalking you because I want to give you this, because that's exactly what's underway. That's exactly what that is. This is the pattern of conduct. So I just want to be clear because the entity is not prepared for what is going to be federally prosecuted. You do not control what it is that you were in the wrong about in the first place. You have forfeited that position of legitimacy and authority. You are threatening someone's life, and I'm analyzing the law and the facts for you since you want to act like you're clueless because you are the criminal that is caught here. Jason Isaac Fields is under no circumstances permitted to be around me. And this is someone that is monitoring and is engaged in that ongoing, very foolish, threatening conduct. And it's foolish because I'm putting it on the internet. This is a demon. Okay? So I just want to be clear. This is a corrupt federal official, somebody that is engaged in criminal activity and is doing so with regard to I don't understand what sort of unofficial, but this is not helpful, and it's not anything that I'm cooperating with. You're not going to do some backhanded, underhanded, informal passing off of money to make things disappear, it's not making anything disappear. I'm going to highlight whatever it is that you do. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm putting it on the internet. Okay, you're threatening and stalking just like the rest of these vagina monitors. Okay, they're engaging in that while the vagina monitors are stalking me in commercial planes. The vagina monitors are stalking in helicopters, and then the vagina monitors are meeting on a nightly, weekly, monthly basis under a fake moon and having sex with each other and animals and children. And that's how I'm capturing the mentally ill behavior that is obvious criminal conduct. And you're engaging in what is exposing yourself, which, again, I don't need you to do. I'll prosecute you. But the more that you come in my presence telling me that you have money that belongs to me, that's your admission that you stole from me. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the entity that's engaged in what is activity creation. Stater Brothers is engaged in surveillance. They're not engaged in providing what are the ability to engage in grocery shopping. This is why the airport and the Ontario police and the people of the state are stalking here. Keeping the grocery carts around where I go to use the Wi-Fi as well. That's lying in wait. That's a method of lying in wait. So the activity creation is while I'm here, like I'm doing now, using my device. This is where the fake sun rises. This is where the airport is stalking. This is where the people of the state are molesting. And this is where the entity is engaging what is psychopathic pacing by going to pick up their shopping carts, which are deliberately placed around where the stalkers anticipate that the target individual goes routinely using their devices. And that's the ongoing unintelligent system of obsessed stalkers that are demons. The city of Upland is prosecuting the city of Ontario. I prosecuted the city of Ontario on my own. As I show you the pattern of conduct, which is identical in another location, it's prosecuting, like I said, the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. The ongoing pattern of conduct that is shared by Jason Isaac Fields in the city of Ontario is a bar where you are not engaged in the provision of any justice. You're not. You are remaining the criminal. You don't get to jump sides like that, and it's not going to be different because I prosecuted the big bad government. It's not happening like that. Period. And I want to make sure that that's clear because these demons seem to believe that because Tracy Banks led them on a false treasure hunt, that now, oh no, I'm on the good person side and I'm going to go ahead and no, you're not. No, you are not. You were ordered and demanded to stay away from me. And there is under no circumstances anything under the law that permits you to have access to anything that you stole in the first place. And you're not going to do it outside of a court of law. You're a fool if you think I'm going somewhere with you, if you think I'm going to have a conversation with you. And I'm tired of repeating myself, but I'm doing it in front of everyone because I'm going to prosecute you. This is damages. While I'm being gang stalked, and I'm handling all of that at the same time, you're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It's 6:45 a.m. All right, the entity engaging in what is the public nuisance, just as the entity is with plane and helicopter and sirens, the public nuisance, the ongoing incessant use of the train. So now you have the entity that's providing amplified audible activity, and Union Pacific is the guise of the amplified train. And just like I showed you Metrolink, that is gang stalking, criminally monitoring with the city in furtherance of murder, targeting while they are operating outside of the published schedule. That's how important I am. That's how psychotic and corrupt the entity is. Union Pacific is the ongoing stalking conduct, the ongoing public nuisance where the entity is engaging in what is extraordinarily amplified audible activity where you're listening to what is impossible. I went back and documented where the train tracks are. You're not going to hear the train on the train tracks. And the entity is also not going to feel like I have been documenting right now. Amplified train activity so loud that it is interfering with your ability to talk on the phone. That level of what is amplification, it's demonic. This is supernatural with regard to the noise level, and it's supernatural with regard to the environment that they're in as well. The impossible light activity, the multiple shadows and whatnot, that's how you know that this is demonic. These are demons, and this is the practice of witchcraft. While the entity engages in these behaviors, absent any evidence, this is what they typically do, and they are criminally defaming American citizens in doing so. While I am documenting the mentally ill behaviors where the entity is engaging in surveillance, it will be used to have the entity diagnosed and have them institutionalized. All right, this is P.O.C. Union Pacific is a terrorist. They are engaging in what is the public nuisance. That's the hallmark, where the entity is monitoring as a population, maintaining that public nuisance. It's massive facilitation regarding the population that is monitoring. They are stalking while they're monitoring. Okay, they maintain the public nuisance under the fake sun. They maintain the public nuisance amongst that population that is always present around you, conspicuously and inconspicuously, and they are stalking in doing so. And the purpose is to take your life. All right, this is P.O.C. Union Pacific is engaged in that criminal purpose, doing so, and they're psychotic. These are cowards, and the cowardice is also personified through the demons that get silent, the demons that fly away out of sight, the demons that engage in name calling and criminal summoning. These are acts of cowardice, and they're acts of terrorism as well, and I'm going to prosecute for it. But this is the entity that stops blaring the so-called horn of the train the moment that I start recording. But I want to hear it. You hear how it's competing with my voice? It's demonic. It's impossible. I'm at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. All right, while I'm standing next to the train, which is what I documented last week. All right, there's no train volume that is that loud. While I'm aboard Metrolink and I'm having a conversation with a gang stalker that works for the Metrolink train, while they are stopping at stops while I'm on the train, there is nothing that is causing your ears to bleed, nothing that is stopping your ability to hear. You're not subject to what would be civil suits with regard to passengers aboard the train, where the entity is engaging in this asinine and illogical and unnatural maintenance of an environment where, again, the demon-possessed are unintelligent, and it was never designed for it to be a matter of what is accumulated factual information to prosecute by an objective standard. It wasn't. Okay, but I already have the entity stalking by train while I'm outside of the train, stalking by train while I'm at a distance from the so-called train, stalking by train when there's no train on the tracks. Okay, while the entity is engaging with a stalking by train, coexisting with what is impossible light activity, while the entity is engaging in surveillance by the airport, by the police department, by the people of the state. Union Pacific is indeed a terrorist and is engaging in what is vagina monitoring. The entity engages in what is a combination of the elements. While you are engaging in that pattern of conduct, that business will be prosecuted as exactly what it is. These businesses are engaging in demonic activity, and they will be prosecuted and exposed for the terrorists that they are and the demonic companies, the demonic people that make up these companies, and the American people need to know that. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:10 a.m. All right, you see my shadow up on the wall? This is impossible light activity, where psychopaths are stalking in planes and stalking in a grocery store. They're stalking while they enter and exit. It's monitoring. Walking in light, where the sun's in Upland, California. It's underneath a covered structure. My shadow's up right on the wall. You're not walking by that ignorantly, and you're not going to avoid being federally prosecuted as a terrorist. A co-conspirator of murder. This is where the entity is engaging what is providing light. This is all manner of surveillance conduct, stalking with peculiarized light. This is what Amazon Prime is doing, while the demons just put a logo on the vehicle and carry a package to the demons who are stalking. This is P.O.C. It's impossible light activity based on its position. It's also impossible light activity while the sun's over me at the Upland Public Library. These are vagina monitors. They engage in surveillance in bathrooms. And that is the disgustable conduct by terrorists that engage in defaming your character while they want to steal your wealth. This is what the United States is engaging in. They're being prosecuted as terrorists that are inside of the country, and they are being exposed. They don't have any privacy. They don't have any constitutional protections regarding exposing them. Are going to be federally prosecuted. This is where stalking, doing all manner of cartwheels, stalking over the drive-through. Excuse me, not the drive-through, but this is all pacing. And how do you know that? Because this is a fake sun, the fake sun that is still here after 4 p.m. while I'm at this same venue, which is Stater Brothers. Okay, actors like this, they're going to be subject to federal prison. All right, this is the pattern of conduct. This is the restroom on this side of the wall where impossible light is coating it, and demons are inside and outside, keeping my vagina under surveillance. Sex offenders are companies and communities and government bodies and fake security guards that are engaging in vagina monitoring. They're not securing anything. They're monitoring. And they're doing so while sex offenders are not merely, well, these aren't men, these are demons of the male gender. They're all engaging in sexual violence with females alike. They're all state actors. This is the gross and disgusting sexual violence by demons. They're not normal, healthy people. These are demon-possessed people. And they keep your genitalia under surveillance. And this is what you need to know. This is what's being exposed while I'm prosecuting the government. This is 646 West Holt Boulevard, where the fake sun is still here while I'm documenting in the evening. And then I'm in Upland, California as of late, showing you that what are the sex offenders of the city of Ontario, the sex offenders of the city of Upland, the sex offenders who are the people of the state. 9PRX730. P.O.C. Impossible light that is coating a wall on the inside in the shade is supposed to be so subtle that you don't recognize it, you don't miss that, you don't notice it. But it's also that which is designed to falsely depict the character of an American citizen. It's not clever, it's not intelligent, it's obvious, it's glaring. And it's also relevant to the mentally ill that engage in a satanic method of surveillance right in front of your face. Conspicuous surveillance shall be met with federal prison. All right, and gang stalking mayors like Paul Leon are not staying in office. This is just a matter of what is absolutely natural, automatic. It's axiomatic. It's absurd. Paul Leon is a terrorist, and he's no longer secretly engaging in terrorism in the United States and holding office while murdering and conspiring against American citizens like myself. It is currently 8:27 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the entity that's engaging in that ongoing pattern of stalking in perfect alignment with my person under the ongoing enduring fake sun. This is where the entity is engaging in the ascendant entity, which you are able to see, removing the veil. Okay, removing what are the ability to ignore clearly absurd patterns where the entity's criminal surveillance, which is relevant to committing murder that is committed by a population, not an individual. An individual within an entity commits murder, are together engaging in criminal surveillance that the President of the United States, who is not ignorant, that the governors within these states who are not ignorant have not told the American people about. That's what's relevant behind what you saw this morning, the fake sun, alignment to me at the same location hours later at what is 9:33 a.m., remaining over me, moving as I move, and also as a matter of evidence here after 4 and 5 o'clock where the city of Ontario is stalking, where monitors with cursed wombs are stalking in the path, doing so parking lot with the cursed womb. I'm here at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and the entities engaging what is the cartwheels while they're practicing what is a system of surveillance while the government is being federally prosecuted for conspiring my murder, stealing my inheritance, and doing so in the face of an American citizen. Not only, in other words, is gang stalking a matter of what is terrorism, but because the government is engaging what is gang stalking someone with their eyes wide open, looking at you, preying upon them and stalking them as though you're going to murder them in front of everyone, because that's what the city of Ontario, the state of California is doing, including while under the fake sun at 9:33 a.m. They're engaging what is stalking as an airport, which is stalking as the people. All right, the people that have no legitimacy with regard to organizing under titles such as no kings, when they're engaging, how about no demons monitoring? How about no criminal surveillance? How about no sexual violence, corporate invasion of privacy before you want to engage in what is the hypocrisy of organizing as the population of demons engaging in criminal and corrupt conduct with the government that relies on them? And they are the same ones, the people of the state, that don't even know the legal relevance regarding that phrase. While they are the reason for the ongoing terrorism, the entity has the fake sun over me while I'm at the Upland Public Library at the same time, where the entity is stalking by helicopter and stalking by planes over that Upland Public Library at 450 North Euclid Avenue, which is not here. It's not in alignment. It's not over my head. It's not causing a shadow, and it certainly would not still be here because it's impossible that it would have been the case in Upland. But this is why I document. That which is impossible is the evidence of demons that are criminally monitoring, and they also organize under causes such as no kings. Okay, they want to violate the human rights and constitutional rights of others, but they don't want their rights violated. And I just want to be clear, it is inevitable, and this is the implosion of this country, and that's the entity that brought it on themselves. Okay, the entities engaged in this P.O.C. and the fake sun is here as I documented at 7 in the morning, and these demons are pacing, and so are the demons at the airport, and it's still here. And you're juxtaposing this with what's over the Upland Public Library at around the same time. It's currently 9:35 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, you are always paying attention to the bigger picture. 8 Edward Charlie Xavier 034 is a psychopath stalking with 9 Apple Edward David 317, the same, and they're stalking together, both on opposite sides of my person. This is called the psychopathic pacing, while you're looking at the shared pattern of conduct with the government that's always stalking in planes and in helicopters and firefighting vehicles, the fire department, the fire trucks, the ambulances, the police vehicles. The entity that's using helicopters associated with would like to be mistaken for police departments. That's what is the ongoing pattern, where they're under the fake sun, and you are never forgetful that which is over me at the Ontario Village Shopping Center is not over the Upland Public Library at 9:59 at 10 a.m. through the roof of the ceiling of that library over the top of my head as I capture it through the windows. All right, Providence, for you to witness the demons who are being exposed, the Nephilim who are hiding in plain sight, who are violating American citizens, who assemble and organize under the guise of referring to what is the very criminal and unconstitutional behaviors that they practice as hypocrites, sacrificing American citizens such as no kings. You know how many demons were out there organizing?
Okay, this is not something that I'm exposing with regard to it's just a little bit here. It's just in this city. You just have a few gang members there. It's just this part of the neighborhood. It's the entire state of California. And the entities engaged in this P.O.C. with regard to what is indiscriminate, and the environment is the evidence of that. So you are talking about the terrorists themselves who are organizing under the guise of being interested in politics, being interested in constitutional and what are equitable circumstances regarding the presidency of the current Donald J. Trump, where they have complaints about his presidency and his office, his policies. Regardless of that, I just want to be clear, because this is not about politics. This is about the terrorists themselves who are engaging in domestic terrorism, who are stalking in ways in which none of them can contend with. And they are the demon possessed who are sitting in office, Paul Leon, who are remaining in position, Mike LORENZ, Alan D. WAPNER, the city of Ontario itself, the city of Upland, Bill Velto, Marcelo Blanco. You have the people of the state sharing in that pattern of conduct. They are engaging in what is the ongoing illusion regarding what is in actual the republic, which they have made a mockery of. Okay, the democratic system, they've made a joke out of it, organizing under this cause regarding no kings, and they're gang stalking at the same time. Okay, and it's not just a bad neighborhood. This is the entity that's engaging a license 8 Robert Sam Apple 718. This butched figure, this masculine looking female, this looks like she's a tree, engaging in surveillance on the side of the road, stalking, okay? Doing so as an entity on behalf of the government that's also provided evidence against the whole neighborhood, that are also engaged in organizing regarding policies that you're concerned about regarding no kings. I just want to be clear, this entire system is mocking what is supposed to be appearing as though they are actually interested and concerned with these things, and they are not. Donald J. Trump is engaging in what is politics, as the demons have been engaging in the ongoing abuse of this system, regardless of where you fall regarding what he's doing in office. He's engaging in that which the demons are engaging in all the cities and the states. Okay, so they're calling him some sort of tyrant, some sort of wannabe king. They're engaged in criminal surveillance. They're engaged in stalking American citizens. They're animals. They engage in barbaric behaviors, and they are complaining about the office of the presidency, who is doing nothing other than what the people of the state who are holding that office right now are doing in all of the states of this country. I just want you to understand that. This is hypocrisy at its heights, and this is also judgment. This is reaping. As the cities and the states are bankrupted, as more and more are becoming homeless, as they are going to rapidly disintegrate with regard to losing their minds. And I mean, they're already psychotic, okay? This is closeted mental illness shared by a population who are demon possessed, and they're no longer secretly demons around you. You're talking about what is outbursts, what are, like you're seeing, public crash outs, stalking and helicopter flying in circles over and over and over and over again every time I capture them on video. The entity engages in what is the unraveling of those who have been engaged in what is demonic, criminal, psychotic, torturous behaviors to other people. And they are going to be tormented, and they are not going to be able to control it and conceal what is their disturbing condition as they target other people. While the entity is engaging in this, it is, I just want to be clear, and I'm not excited to, but this is inevitable. It's the unraveling of this country. It's already been underway, but it's going to progressively become worse and worse and more chaotic. And this is why what Donald J. Trump is doing versus what Paul Leon is doing, what the people of the state are doing, what this neighborhood at Vesta and Vine are doing right now. This is the entity that's engaged. What Donald J. Trump is doing is in conformity to the pattern of conduct. You don't have any constitutional rights that are relevant to that office if you are complaining about his policies, if you're complaining about his cabinet, if you're complaining about the way in which he's executing the powers that he has in that office, where, by the way, these demons put him there. They're engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are engaging in the same hypocritical conduct, violating the rights of another. This is inevitable with regard to the unraveling of a demon-possessed population. And this is no scary movie. I just want to be clear. The movies that you see in the movie theaters are mocking what the demon-possessed have been doing for years. These producers are demons. These producers are monitoring spirits, and they're creating movies and making money off of what they are actually doing. What actually the people of the state are doing. Okay, the people of the state has a legal significance. And these are ignoramuses. I'm not going to hold back. The people that are gang stalking me organized for No Kings yesterday. All right. And I want to be clear, while the fake sun is over me in one city from sunrise until sunset, what are they standing under in Minneapolis? They are not ignorant about that reality either. So they are maintaining an ongoing illusion. This is for you to understand that the demons are destroying themselves. Do not get caught up while they are wasting your time. They are reaping what they have sown. And their so-called rights, while they violate the rights of another, they're going to continue to suffer that. They're going to continue to be sacrificed in the middle of the street. This is not celebrating evil. This is what the demons have brought on themselves. And then they want to remind everyone under the Constitution, under what their identity is under that Constitution, which they know nothing about and they clearly disregard while they're engaging in the barbarism of federal group stalking, on criminal surveillance, un-American criminal activity, which none of them are admitting to. And you don't have to, because it's not a controversy. It's not a controversy. It's not a conspiracy. All right. These demons are extinguishing themselves. They've assassinated themselves. They've sacrificed themselves, and they're going to lose more and more and more. This is an entity that's engaged in that. So I just want you to look at that from a big picture standpoint, because it's the same entity that's out here organizing, talking about no kings. And when really the cause is, the issue is no demons, no surveillance, no stalkers, no stalking society. All right. How about that? This is the entity that's engaging in that, and they want to be taken seriously, and they're not. They're not being taken seriously. In fact, they're going to continue to be slaughtered, because this is what they've reaped. They've been slaughtering American citizens. This is the truth. They're watching themselves being executed. That's what you're looking at. And they are engaging in what is hypocritical conduct. Nobody cares about demons organizing. Demons don't have any constitutional rights. They don't. Demons don't have any constitutional rights. You certainly are not going to try to benefit off of the very Constitution that you defecate on while you're terrorizing other American citizens. Understand that this is called judgment. And everyone is going to sit back and you're watching it unfold, including in the prosecution of the people of the state who are domestic terrorists. The ones who are supposed to be authorizing the execution, the enforcement of the U.S. Constitution, not engaging in what is the unraveling of this country, terrorism of the constituents of this country. And that's what the people of the state are. You're looking at hypocrisy while they're organizing. You're looking at a lot of hot air. You're looking at distractions. You're looking at diversions. Look at the big picture. Look at where they're organizing. Look at the environment that they're in. Look at what is impossible to be the case with regard to your ability to know who you're looking at, what you're looking at, and what they are actually doing, what they're actually consumed with, what they're actually concerned about, what they're actually passionate about. They're scared that they're going to be slaughtered next because they have been engaged in terrorizing American citizens. And they are the people. And they are the entire population. That's not an exaggeration. The entities engaging in this P.O.C. and the P.O.C. that has been documented for years is speaking to your ability to be, to a certain degree, confident to a degree of certainty regarding what is impossible, that it would be anything other than what it is that I already told you. The sun never leaves from being over me where I'm documenting that. Even when they engage in the demonic act of covering up the fake sun at any point in the day, when it is showing again, where is it arriving? It's over me. And where is it setting? Over the same person in the same location. And even when I'm going from place to place, such as on the freeway, any freeway in California, and as I've documented in Nevada, where is the fake sun? It is not over Stater Brothers. It's over my sunroof, over my vehicle on whatever freeway I'm on in California, where surveillance is underway, where the people of the state who are simultaneously engaging in domestic terrorist acts want to organize and be taken seriously, referring to what is the chief of these minions, Donald J. Trump, their own president. Okay, so this is the entity that's engaging in that, and I don't want you to be distracted by what the demons have reaped upon themselves. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This is why they hate I.I.S. That's why. This is why, and it's going to become worse because you're looking at what is going to be its judgment. They're reaping. Consequence time. That's what it is. And it's going to become more and more cutthroat, more and more violent, more and more chaotic. And the demons are no longer able to shapeshift and appear as normal human beings that want to stand next to me and appear to be just like me. No, you're not. They're demons. And they're stalking. And you know that. It's no longer just in the mind of someone that doesn't have evidence to prove it. You all know what you're looking at now. And they dress up in police uniforms. They ride around in fire trucks. They go around pushing strollers. And they're stalking at the Upland Public Library, because that fake sun that's over that Upland Public Library where it remains is not over the Ontario Village Shopping Center, or the airport, and a population of demons are sharing in surveillance. And they have absolutely no credibility and nothing relevant to you, who should not be getting distracted by what Satan is out here organizing over. So-called no kings. They've sacrificed themselves. Do not be distracted with what's going on out here. These are the demons who have an inevitable demise. And that's literally between them and the demons that they pray to. It is currently 10:15 a.m. This is P.O.C. The fake sun's remaining over me in Ontario. All right, these same streets, the same neighborhood that I'm documenting on a daily basis. Where at nightfall, the entity is also still stalking, as you know, because the entity is stalking by helicopter, following me through this neighborhood. All right, while the fake moon is then over me. A total grand departure, a total abandonment from it being over the roof of the Upland Public Library. How is this coexisting? It's not. It's not coexisting, not in the natural environment. They're mentally ill. In fact, that level of psychotic conduct, that level of malice, and they are betting on, relying on your ignorance. In other words, that you'll never notice that couldn't be the sun over the roof of the Upland Public Library and over an American citizen that's being targeted by the population that wants to appear legitimate when they organize rallies under the guise of no kings, holding up this political agenda regarding protecting this. No, they're not concerned about any of that. Not in reality. Not when you're gang stalking and monitoring my vagina at the same time. All right? These are demons that are dressing up as humans, just like the demons dress up as police officers. Just like the demons play cops and robbers together. They're dressing up. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 10:17 a.m. in Ontario, where the entity is keeping the fake sun, which you already know that. You already know all this, and this was proven years ago. I've gone through, and for your benefit, you're looking at what is impossible to rebut, to contradict, to exit out of the P.O.C. It is impossible. Because this is in fact the pattern. This is in fact how the entity is monitoring you. The only thing that is monitoring are demons. Demons are not concerned about politics. They are not concerned about constitutional rights. They are scared that they're going to take a bullet to the through the temple. They're scared of that. That's why they hate I.I.S. That's what they are scared about, but they don't actually care about that. What they're doing is engaging in criminal activity, and I'm showing you that. And this is also speaking to what is judgment. Demons do not care. They don't care about that. Okay? This is P.O.C. The entity is stalking by plane, as you hear, at C Street, at the so-called Superior Justice Law Group, at 228 C Street and Palm, where the fake sun is over me at 10:18 a.m. All right, and this is already on the record. I've documented this over and over and over again, so I'm giving you more context when I'm in Upland, California, showing you the pattern of conduct. And then you look back on the evidence that you have already. This is how I'm able to show you what is the illusion, where the demon-possessed are engaging in what is keeping all of us under surveillance. What I'm subject to is what you are subject to. And this is not to spread fear, but you need to know. The Lord God wants you to know your genitalia is under surveillance. You have no privacy, including your thoughts. They're monitoring you. And you need to know that. And you need to know that the demons are being taken out. They're being sacrificed. And they sacrifice themselves. While they first thought to plot against innocent American citizens on whose behalf I advocate, I speak, I represent. I'm not going anywhere. And they're also giving me back my money, and I'm going to federally prosecute. And ghettos like Ontario, they're going to look like the ghettos that they are. No more improvements. You're not sitting in office. There will be no police department. And they can take each other out. They can sit around pacing under the fake sun, sacrificing each other, killing each other, harming each other. And that's literally the inevitable result of the wicked. The demons that are engaging in playing politics that they don't care anything about, and they don't even know anything about it. You're being brainwashed when you're even watching the evening news. It's all the same corrupt system. And that's what's gang stalking by commercial plane. If they had any sense, any strategy, they wouldn't provide this level of obvious guilt. These are animals who are racing against time, but there is no race. It is over. Not only are you exposed, that means that it's over. You're exposed. It's also over because it's consequence time. It's consequence time. It's currently 10:20 a.m. You're mindful of the fact that there's no sun over the Upland Public Library. You already knew that? But because this is the P.O.C, it is proven beyond a reasonable doubt and to a scientific degree, 9HAK188 is federally prosecuted by virtue of my documenting them. Because this is the state that's gang stalking in a whole environment conducive to surveillance, any and everyone, everywhere, at all times. And they're the same entity. A bunch of monitoring minions who are also engaged in what are playing. And that's, it's unfortunate because politics serves a strategic purpose with regard to the union. This is no union. The entity has destroyed itself. Okay, and unfortunately the union is made up of this entity. So that's why I'm speaking in those terms, because the entity has destroyed. This is the implosion of that. This is not doomsday speaking in mind, just being a pessimist. You're looking at the evidence of what is a P.O.C. Okay, exposure is for your protection, for your information. It's not going to flip and get better. It's going to continuously, progressively worsen. This is the reality. This is also in alignment with what scripture has already told those who are walking with the Lord, and you're in the word of God and you know where we're at. There are things that have to happen, but we are on schedule. And Satan cannot hide amongst us anymore. The Nephilim are here. They call themselves Democrats and Republicans even. They want you distracted with their rhetoric. They want you to think that they're passionate about programs to give you money, when all they're doing is competing for who can best finance criminal surveillance. In the United States, that's what they're doing. Watching everybody. Who's a threat to the kingdom of darkness? That's who's being targeted. License plate 9GPP195. These gang stalking sex offenders walking around with their demons, freshly given birth, walking around holding on to their baby aliens that are gang stalkers in the making, their vagina monitors, and they're engaging in that because on the outward, that creates what's supposed to be a compassionate scene, and that's only for the ignorant. Nobody that's paying attention to my evidence at this point is ignorant. You're not easily deceived. You are very much tuned in and you're aware about what's going on. And the feds know. Okay, but I'm talking to those who are learning, the general public, those who are genuinely ignorant, especially those, and he will find you with what you need to know. I'm putting it out there and the Lord God is going to get the message to you. But you need to know what's going on in this country and what's going on in the rest of the world, because that's what it is. This is not just limited to the U.S. I just happen to be in the U.S. And that's relevant to what are the ways in which I'm going to prosecute under the law. But this is happening around the world. You're talking about one sun. They're literally this idiotic. There's only one sun. This makes it so exclusive. It is unmistakable. It's not just the fact that I'm prosecuting the city. It is literally, you're talking about one sun. One. And that one sun is serving to prosecute many, many people at the same time. And of that entity, they sit around organizing under things like Black Lives Matter, like No Kings, and some of them are genuinely ignorant in the same way that they're demon possessed and they don't even know that they have demons on them. They're monitoring. They're engaged in criminal activity while they're monitoring. They are third-party state actors while they're monitoring. Period. That's why the fake sun is there. You do not have a defense in court. The entity is threatening the life of an American citizen who has been set up to have their life taken. You're going to be prosecuted. You are already surrounded. Period. You're already surrounded. You can pull out your babies all you want. You can pull out your degrees. You can pull out all the things that you participated in, the Bible study that you lead, the church where you're pastoring. You're going to be prosecuted. The government has posed an unlawful threat of epic proportions for which the people of the state are going to be prosecuted. The people of the state that are intentionally engaging in that. Intentionally. As intentional as the entity stalking me and following me around in helicopter, that's also, there is no defense. They're being federally prosecuted and they sacrifice themselves. Now you're seeing the maniacal psychopaths that they tried to hide from you. They are not under control. They are not normal. They're not calm. You see how they are freaking out, and that freaking out is through the richness of the entity stalking by helicopter, which is what you hear at the fake church where the entity has maintaining a mass service while they're engaged in state surveillance at the same time. This is state organized religion. These are not believers. This is also why the Catholic Church is closely associated with penetrating little boys. This is not far-fetched at all. That's why you have that. That's demonic, in case you did not know. Sex with children, that's that same Jezebel spirit. And it is associated with the Catholic Church. There's a reason for that. I just want to be clear. This is where the entity is stalking by helicopter, and this is not new. I've been terrorized by the St. George parish while the Ontario police were flying circles over this fake church, and you know that that's not the only fake church that the Ontario police are sharing a criminal surveillance with. All right, I've documented it before. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. It is currently 10:25 a.m. where the entity is engaging in stalking as a city. They're doing so while the city of Upland is engaging in that as well. All of them are under a fake sign at the Upland Public Library. Just want to show. Thank you, Satan. Alrighty, capturing what is video. So that's why if the audio went out, that's what I'm capturing. I want to get the entity. The Catholic Church is targeting me while the police department flies over my head. I understand how the terrorists are being federally prosecuted. All right. And they're doing so while I want to be clear. First of all, it's demonic in the first place. You're praying to man. You're praying to graven images. This has nothing to do with knowing the Lord God, the true and living God. You don't pray to any created thing. Not only are they doing that, and that's demonic, they're literally engaged in criminal monitoring. Monitoring is demonic. They're doing so while they are inside, wanting to engage in pious conduct, loving your brother. Oh, I love my brother. I'm going to take communion and I'm going to pray and bow 3,700 times in order to seek holiness while they're simultaneously engaging in terrorism. This is also what they do with regard to organizing under themes such as No Kings. Okay, this is the mentally ill population who will slaughter you, take your life, and then go confess to the priest about it. These are demons. Okay, and that's the use of the state organized religion, Catholicism, where they're gang stalking in Ontario, California. 6PYL340, license 8 Bob Victor Kelly 642, license 7 Zebra Jerry 756. License 8 Frank Jerry Charlie 832. Everything inside of that building, of that venue of the St. George Church, is that which is occurring by the consent of the government that is stalking me at that venue, engaging in surveillance via that venue, and everyone in that venue is doing so through the consent, the ongoing control of the government that is stalking in a helicopter. And they're doing so while the city of Upland is simultaneously engaging in what is state surveillance, because no sun is sitting over the roof of that library, contrary to what I'm documenting, while the entity is keeping it over me at what is Palm and C Street, in between D and C. The entity is engaged in stalking. Okay, they're stalking, which you clearly identify in the environment, and they're also stalking with regard to what is a level of desperation, because this level of rich evidence against yourself to your own demise, these are suicidal demons who are scared regarding being executed by the government, such as ICE, while they're engaging in what is a federal level of the gang stalking that the cities have been engaged in, the states have been engaged in. And they are scared because they're the ones that have sacrificed themselves. They're the ones that are going to lose their lives. They're the ones that are going to be impoverished, homeless, sleeping on the streets, receiving no government programs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the ongoing deterioration of that corrupt state. Okay, and that's based on what they've been engaging in and doing to American citizens. This is what No Kings is about. It's not about an actual passion or concern about the Constitution. They're violating and defecating on the Constitution that they're exploiting while they're engaging in this very system gang stalking, which is proven while the ongoing gang members of the Ontario Police fly over the top of my head, while the fake sun is over the top of my head, which cannot coexist with being over in Upland at the same time at any point of day. By the way, because why? The entity is rising the fake sun over me at the bus stop when I'm sleeping there and keeping it on the same Euclid Avenue while I'm at OVITT Family Community Library in the evening. That's regarding straight, clear-cut targeting. It's also relevant to the ongoing commentary, which is triggering to the entity that's engaged in vagina monitoring and criminal surveillance on your devices, stalking you everywhere that you're going. And so are the people of the state who have no constitutional protections, no privacy. And the entity that's being exposed with regard to those who are engaging in the hypocritical acts of organizing under No Kings. License 5NQL849. License 9ECY505. P.O.C. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is the entity, I want to be clear, fake, godly people, pious people. I just want people, plenty of pious people are going straight to hell. Being pious does not mean that you know the Lord God, that you've ever accepted him as your Lord and Savior, that you submit to him, that you know him personally. And if you do, you are not targeting, you're not monitoring. Monitoring is literally the behavior of a demon-possessed person. You do not know him. So you can be inside of a Catholic church, you can be inside of a hospital, you can be inside of a nursery, you can surround yourself with puppy dogs. You're going straight to hell. It doesn't change that. This is an entity that's engaging in a very clear-cut a clear-cut pattern of conduct, and there's no controversy here, especially since the idiots, these gang members, went so far out of their way, stalking me every night by helicopter and doing so under the fake sun. As soon as I engage in triggering them a little too much, which all I have to do is literally open my mouth, okay? But triggering them a little too much with my evidence, and what happens at any location, the Catholic church, the Starbucks, the grocery store, the freeway, the entity is stalking by helicopter in that unmistakable environment. And this is how you're looking at a statewide system that Gavin Newsom is not ignorant about. You're not ignorant about that. There's no way that you're ignorant about it. Neither are you reasonably ignorant about it. Nor will you, under the law, be looked at and deemed as being ignorant, meaning under no circumstances are you found to be not liable, not engaged in what is reasonably associated with the inherent corruption of the entire state that's profiting off of criminal surveillance, benefiting the office of the governor, benefiting the cities, including through inheritance theft. Okay, license 9 Mary Apple Berry 791, and that's what's behind funding gang stalking me. My own money is how they're gassing up these helicopters, because Ontario police they're broke. 8LYD 199. The city of Ontario doesn't have any money, because they're handing over everything. The people of the state driving around and with borrowed money. They're brokies. And I am the one, while they're stealing my money, financing while they're stalking me. And they're doing it obviously. While you hear the helicopter, while you see the helicopter, while you see the entity, they have, I want to be clear, in federal prison, it's going to be guilty, 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 guilty. It's going to be essentially that simple. There's no controversy here at all. 8 BLW 465, 844 YN. And that is outside of the doors of a fake church. State organized religion is what it is. Religion serves the malicious pattern of conduct by the government. This is business in California. They make money. All right? State organized religion, where they're all lying to you and they don't even believe in Christ Jesus. They're all under the fake sun. And as you're looking at, they're all under the fake sun, gang stalking. All right? State organized religion. That's the P.O.C. License plate 9PYG964. License plate. This is the Starbucks that's going to be federally prosecuted. They engaged in kidnapping. License 9WJL680 with the Ontario police that just flew over the top of my head. They're going to prison. 6UKP296. And this is the federal RICO case. They're not just going to prison, but I'm going to prosecute and take all that money. They're making money while they're gang stalking. License plate 7009857. This Caucasian male that's a sex offender is obsessed with a black woman. It's vagina monitoring. It's stalking on the roads and the highways, doing so on behalf of the government. Doing so as a demon that is psychotic, all right, stalking on the roads and the highways while they're engaging in what is a supernatural means of wanting to touch me, impossible light activity. Okay, that's the P.O.C. And by the way, like you've seen, it is impossible for the government to help the people of the state. All the government does is incriminate them. And the cockroaches are going where they belong. 8VMV470, and they're being treated in the way that they're supposed to be. They're being raided. They're being federally prosecuted as the terrorists that they are. And that's the implosion of this union, where the people of the state have become the terrorists. P.O.C. It is currently 10:35 a.m. This Starbucks is the one that's documented kidnapping with L. Edwards, who's gang stalking at a plethora of venues. The entity is going to prison, and so are the kidnappers and the stalkers of the Ontario Police Department. Starbucks is engaging in that. Every Starbucks is on the record engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they are monitoring right now with the Ontario Police Department, including while I'm at that St. George Church off of Palm and D and Palm and C Street. Excuse me, Palm and D and Palm and E as in Edward. This is relevant positioning, so that's what you're looking at a map. They're all monitoring together. I'm going from place to place. The entity is stalking. That is underscored by the fake sun that's over me. Over me at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue at 6 and 7 in the morning. Over me at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue at 6 and 7 in the evening. 6YYW161. And those employees are going to prison. They know who they are, and you do too, because you can look them up. Terrorists are being published on the P.O.C., which is going to be used as a register to expose vagina monitors to those of you around the world. They're not going to be able to move out of this country and go start over in Europe or go start over in Asia or transfer over and try to teach English as a second language to unsuspecting people that don't know that they're terrorists in the United States. Okay? They're not going anywhere and starting over. You will all be able to look them up and know who they are. All right, they are bloodthirsty, violent sex offenders who give birth to demons as well. Demons that are under the age of majority and are very much in tune and know how to monitor because they're demon possessed. And monitoring is criminal activity. So they are automatically engaged in criminal conduct with the government. And that's the criminalization of this surveillance system. Monitoring spirits, and they're doing it in that specific environment. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:36 a.m. This is indeed targeting. The Ontario Police again flying over the top of my head. Doing so at St. George. I've documented this. This is a terrorist, and this is a demon that's also inside of the vehicle stalking in the path. They're sharing in surveillance right now, even while they're inside praying to graven images, engaging in what is demonic, practicing state religion, which is serving a criminal purpose. And they are engaged in stalking while the government shows that, proves that, under a fake sun, engaged in federal stalking operation devices over and under the age of majority. Is that scientific impossibility that the sun would be over the Upland Public Library and also over the so-called St. George. Well, it's not a so-called St. George, but it's where demons congregate. Okay? This is demonic. Praying to graven images, demonic. Having sex with little boys, demonic. Gang stalking, demonic. Engaging in criminal activity and trying to represent yourself as otherwise, demonic. All right, it's currently 10:26 a.m. Like I stated, this is not over the Upland Public Library, and you're looking at conspicuous surveillance. They're being deported, they're losing custody of children, they're being federally prosecuted, and they have no legitimacy with regard to organizing because they're scared that they're going to be slaughtered. The government has now provided evidence to prosecute the terrorists themselves who go by the people of the state, who are enemies to this country. This is P.O.C. It is currently, while you're looking at these gang members, around a fake Catholic church. This is what is 10:26 a.m. P.O.C. This is Ontario Police engaging in surveillance stalking with the people. That's what Southwest Airlines represents. The people. It's flying over me while the people are surrounding. This is the massive federal RICO case and the disbanding of the terrorists, the kidnappers, the thieves, the psychopaths, the vagina monitors, the gang members, the thugs, all right, the cowards that are following around in helicopter, and they're also as an entity under the fake sun. My evidence has the fake sun here setting. Here is ARCO, 434 North Euclid Avenue. The entity has the fake sun here, the fake sun rising, including while I'm now in Upland, California. Pointing out the Ontario Police Department amongst the rest of the people of the state is a means of prosecuting everybody. Okay? The people of the state are third parties. The demons that are the Ontario Police are being disbanded. They're going to prison, and so are the people of the state. ARCO is gang stalking, license 9, Thomas, Indiana, Henry 520, and they're gang people of the state, engaging in surveillance through the company ARCO, making money while gang stalking me and furtherance of murder. And this is the same that stole my inheritance. Demons that are monitoring my vagina and then lying on my character in courtrooms regarding property that belongs to me in court hearings that I have no part in, no knowledge about this property. This is the entity that's engaging in domestic terrorism in Ontario, in the state of California, in the U.S. This is P.O.C. The Ontario Police Department are engaged in gang stalking, and they're being targeted with regard to the evidence to have them removed as the terrorists that they are. The body of evidence showing that terrorist organization stalking me at all hours of the day as I'm in Ontario, that body of evidence is going to be used to put every single last one of them in prison. I already have the evidence. I'm going to use every single last ounce of every video to show each and every single last one of them stalking, and they're going to be subject to mental examinations, and they're going to prison, and they're going down as terrorists. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 1:01 p.m., and I'm in Ontario at ARCO. This is not over the Upland Public Library roof. Those are psychopaths pacing in and out of a bathroom while they're keeping my vagina under surveillance, which is what the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, the co-conspirators of murder are engaging in. They obsessively stalk you as the demon-possessed that engage in this as a society. As a society. All right? This is the pattern of conduct. They're actually not concerned about anything other than the targeted individual, and the supernatural environment is the evidence of that. Those of you who are watching need to pay attention, okay? Committing an ongoing pattern of the demon-possessed maintaining, remember Steve's towing? The entity maintaining relevance to positioning stalking at the chiropractic office over here at D Street in Euclid. Method of stalking in the path. They're doing so. The entity is stalking with light activity at nightfall, shining me with light that is impossible. They're stalking with impossible light during the day while the fake sun remains over me. It's equally impossible. All right, and you're looking at that pattern. I show you these patterns with regard to what is a different face, a different company, or even perhaps the same company. It's demon possession, the same exact condition, shared criminal activity, shared status, third-party status. Okay, while the entity is engaged in surveillance and furtherance of murder. Because Mike LORENZ is a sticky-handed, vagina-monitoring psychopath, I'm going to prosecute him, and this terrorist is going to prison. All right, all of this over money that doesn't belong to them and that they're not keeping, they're not getting, and they're not keeping it. And they're going to prison for it. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:03 p.m. Do I have to make it up? The third time flying over the top of my head. This is what they were doing at 12 in the morning, 11 o'clock last night. And where the fake moon was is where the fake... I'm at the same OVITT Family Community Library, Ontario Senior Center. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in stalking, and they're doing it before the world, and Mike LORENZ is going to prison for admittedly targeting and furtherance of stealing my money with Tracy Banks and the rest of the people of the state who have been living off of my wealth for years. And the City of Ontario is incentivized thereby, not only by the criminal conduct of this agency that's engaged in surveillance. While they engaged in criminal activity against me, it exposed the U.S. government that's engaging in this system across this nation. And they are demons that engage in terrorism under the fake sun. Okay? 280 North Lemon Apartments is gang stalking. The pitch in conspicuous surveillance. That's what she's doing. This is conspicuous surveillance that I already took a picture of her. She's engaged in the pattern of conduct. The entity stalking by the airport, the people of the state pacing back and forth. The fake son is sitting here, and she is stalking another person in their face. The state are going to prison for this. It's psychological torture. It's criminal activity that the entity engages in, commits, and they do so in your face, essentially as though they're getting away with it, and they won't be. They will not be. This is the entity that has the fake sun over the City Hall. This is City Hall, right? City Hall, remember, 9 o'clock in the morning? Remember that video? At 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Remember that video? The entity has a fake sun over me when I am juxtaposing that with what's happening at the upper. Sun hasn't left Ontario. It hasn't left from being over me in Ontario, and this is where, again, that agency is stalking. This is what they were doing last night, flying in circles right here over this building, and then those cowards fly out of vision when you're seeing them still stalking me, flying in circles just so that you can't see them while I capture video. All right, this is the P.O.C. This is unmistakable targeting of a specific person. There's only one sun. These idiots are stalking under a fake sun that's sitting over one location, one person all day long who's documenting it. That's not the sun in Florida, in other words. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5 p.m. It's 5:01. This is the entity engaged in psychopathic pacing, meaning they fly over my head, they fly in one direction, and then they come back and fly another. They also engage in what is psychopathic behavior when they're flying in circles. This is pacing, which is what the demon-possessed, that's their objective in this engineered environment. What the demon-possessed are doing, what Satan is doing, is he's going round and around and around and around you. He does it while a demon-possessed population surrounds you everywhere. The actual objective is for, again, and this is mentally ill, anxious behavior, to go around, just surround you, and the objective is to keep activity creation. So they're not just stationary, around you. They are necessarily following you from place to place, so it's also not stationary. But it's not just the fact if you didn't go anywhere and you stayed somewhere all day long, the entity is not just sitting there stationary while you are stationary. The entity is maintaining activity. They are pacing all around you in that environment. While they are not just stalking, they are monitoring, and it's mentally ill behavior. The entity is doing this using helicopters, which speaks to Mike Lorenz's purpose to threaten my life, my safety, and psychologically torture, torment, and threaten me. More so, while he continuously engages in this, while they're monitoring the evidence as well. And that is also proven by the pattern of conduct that is underway as I publish evidence, as I capture documentation, as I even verbally refer to the entity, as I am engaged in what is the documentation the entity engages in stalking conspicuously before all of you witnesses by helicopter. This is the entity that is engaging in surveillance on devices, no warrant, probable cause, legitimate interest. On the internet, no warrant, no probable cause, legitimate interest. And they're also stalking me while they are monitoring. This is escalated beyond what is stalking. This is criminal monitoring, which the demon possessed, that is the mentally ill, which is what Mike Lorenz is. And he's doing so while I'm at the same OVITT Family Community Library. Just be clear, this is the entity that was stalking at the St. George Church. I'm at Palm and D Street, and between D and E, they are stalking, flying over my head while the fake sun is over me. I'm in the same area off of the same Euclid Avenue. If you look at a map, St. George is on the opposite side, the west side of the same Euclid Avenue. OVITT Family Community Library is on the east side of Euclid Avenue. And the entity is flying over the top of my head at 5 o'clock in the evening while the fake sun is over me in the same city. And the entity is gang stalking me on video at the St. George Church during the 10 a.m. hour in the same city off of the same street, Euclid Avenue, targeting me. This is unmistakable. And Mike Lorenz shall spend an extraordinarily long amount of time in federal prison. And a long amount of time in prison for some people is 6 months. But I am speaking in what is years, okay? He's going to prison based on what is going to establish precedent. It is no longer a conspiracy theory. It is proven that the U.S. government's engaged in terrorism of the constituents of this country. And just like any foreign enemy, the domestic ones are going to prison. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while I'm showing you the fact that the entity is stalking me at a Catholic church in a parking lot, and they're stalking me while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library. They're also stalking me last night when I'm at the same location, and what is over my head? Look at the sky space. That fake moon follows me around while the demon possessed that use helicopters and commercial airline planes are following. That's stalking. Okay, this is P.O.C. That's what you're mindful of. I just want to be clear what the state organized religions are engaged in. I just want to be clear. These are not genuine faiths. These are state sanctioned forms of belief, of brainwashing. State organized religion. This is religion that belongs to the state. This is religion that is taught to and distributed by the state at the state's consent, with the state's authority, where they are also engaging in surveillance. This is not Jesus Christ Church. That's not what this is. This is the state's church. The state is maintaining its own religion. The state's religion maintains many different names. Catholicism, atheists, that's a religion, and that's a state organized religion. Those that call themselves polytheistic, you worship the trees and the sky, and what you've learned is you're not even worshiping the actual sun, it's the fake sun. You're worshiping Satan, just so that you know. That's state organized religion. Anything other than Christ Jesus is the government's purpose. This is the government that's engaging in what is maintaining a cult. The cult is seeking to divert your attention away from, detract from, deceive you regarding keeping you in the darkness. And that's what the people of the state are engaging in. They are monitoring. These are demons, and they are monitoring in every type of venue. At their homes, out in public. They're stalking at the grocery store. They're stalking at their fake churches. They're stalking on the roads and the highways. They're stalking in the sky space. They're stalking at the gas station. They're stalking in the bathroom. They're stalking in the community libraries. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. My documentation shows they are stalking with regard to third-party innkeepers, any hotel room, the pattern of conduct underway. They're stalking while I'm in school, while I'm in high school, while I'm in college, while I'm in law school, under surveillance. The entity is maintaining criminal surveillance with regard to corrupt. You are corrupt while you are engaging in the pattern of conduct. This is College of Laverne University of Laverne College of Law. This is an example of that. They're engaged in surveillance. The entity flying over the top of my head by helicopter, just to make sure that that's clear, that ongoing pattern of conduct. It's an unmistakable, very clear-cut pattern. And the entity is engaged in what is maintaining a cult and calling it a union. All right? The entity is engaging in what is maintaining a cult and then mocking what is the political interest of what would actually be an American people, the American people. It's created in the abstract. The demon-possessed are engaged in surveillance, and they are mocking what would be the political interests of those that do not know that you're being distracted, you're being deceived, okay? And this is why it is time for you to unplug from all of the nonsense that you're witnessing. The demon-possessed are organizing with regard to what is the No Kings. They're the same ones that are gang stalking with the government that you see in California. This is P.O.C. The entity is stalking at the Catholic Church today on video, and the entity is stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library. And this is where the Ontario International Airport has been engaged at. You'll see it on the Google Drive, stalking all day long where I'm going, including here. And they're doing so also, like you see, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning, stalking in the path, knowing exactly where I'm at. And that cult is no longer to be mistaken for and tricking the rest of the world, by the way, regarding what this actually is. This is the entity that's engaging in what is the hypocritical maintenance of what is terrorism, while we call ourselves engaging in wars on terrorism in other people's countries and other nations, interfering with their ongoing agenda, which is hypocritical. The American people are being terrorized by the U.S. government, while the U.S. government is also at the same time claiming to be engaged in executing wars against terrorism. It's absurd. It's absurd. These are nothing, if you're not following what I'm actually speaking to, it's a play on words, all right, which is exactly what Satan does. He's an illusionist. When the U.S. government that's engaged in terrorizing its own citizens claim that it's embarking upon war on terror in some other part of the world, this is, again, the entity cloaking what are acts of terrorism that they're engaging in across the seas. And we are given propaganda just like anybody in Russia or in Korea. This is not different. This is the P.O.C. And this is showing you what you need to know about the Nephilim. They are the demon-possessed. And the demon-possessed are maintaining an entire cult. And it is the Union, the very United States, where the government itself is seeking to control everything and everyone. This is the work of Satan. Satan is being exposed and Satan is being prosecuted. And contrary to what Satan would like everyone to believe, that you don't have an alternative and that he is the ultimate and almighty, he is not. And he is being proven to be the coward that he is. He is not all-knowing. He's not omniscient. He's not all-powerful. He is not. And that is for your benefit. If you desire to walk with Christ Jesus, to accept him as your Savior, to submit to him, to know who the true and living God is, because it's not this caricature that this cult has created in its state-organized religion that it permits to exist in this country. Church is a business. They get bonuses with regard to maintaining that cult under the guise of religion. That's what's going on. And this is serving to deceive the masses, where you have blasphemed the Holy Spirit. You've blasphemed the name of God himself. Christ Jesus is real, and so is the devil, who is a liar. And you're so blind you cannot tell the truth from the facade. And that's what the P.O.C. is here for. The illusion is being burnt ablaze. There are many that are going to continue to come that are going to lie, but you are being shown the truth, and it is unmistakable. You cannot make up the evidence of the P.O.C. You can't make up, you can't lie. I could not continuously create and artificially engineer over and over and over again for a prolonged period of time, especially while the federal government is sitting up watching. Those that sought out to target me have to admit to what they have witnessed. I could not make it up. Believe me, my enemies would have loved to report that. That's not what's going on here. They have to confess the reality of Christ Jesus. They have to. This is the entity that's engaged in that. This is what is behind targeting me. Because I walk with the true and living God. I serve him, and I serve him alone. And I do maintain, contrary to the government's ongoing maintenance of a whole fake illusion regarding the union and privacy and freedom, that Constitution still exists, and I'm going to enforce it. I am enforcing it. And this is the criminalization of a demonic system, of a cult, that is the U.S. government, targeting American citizens like myself, many of them who are dead, they're gone. They are sitting around kidnapped. There are vegetables and facilities all around this country. And this is how the government is controlling the masses. And this is just speaking to the illegitimacy of their organizations. Organizing regarding No Kings. The entities engaged in criminal surveillance in the United States, and no one is speaking a word about it. I don't want to hear anything about No Kings. This is an entity, this is a country that is reaping. All right, and the entity is not going to be forthright with it. And so this is the entity that's being forced to, that's being humiliated into the truth. The truth about what they are and what they do. This is the P.O.C. That's what's behind what you are necessarily, you are absolutely and entirely, unmistakably psychotic to engage in stalking an American citizen. That psychosis is related to what is demon possession, which is also unmistakable. They are stalking me in helicopters under what is, I'm documenting, a supernatural environment. Under a fake sun, the wannabe police are stalking. Under a fake moon, the wannabe police are stalking. As I travel from place to place, the wannabe police are stalking me as that environment, meaning that fake sun, that fake moon, moves as I move, as though I'm walking on a stage. And you've ever seen where they've got the scene in the background? It's like the background is on a tape and it's rolling as the actor is walking on the stage. That's what the specific environment is. And that's where these fake cops are stalking. They're demons. And they're going to prison. And so are the terrorists who are in this union, which is a cult. They are the terrorists, the people of the state. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:14 p.m. at the 215 East C Street OVITT Family Community Library. This is speaking to the zeal with which terrorism is underway in this country, the corruption of the executive branch, which, in case you did not know, this is letting you know about the rest of the corruption of the remaining two branches, the judicial branch, the legislative branch. They're not doing this by themselves. They're not doing it unbeknownst to the rest of the union, to the rest of the government. Nobody knows that this is that asininity that I'm showing you. The psychosis of those that are stalking you with the government using helicopters, and they keep their back to you, looking to the left, walking their dog, picking up their animals' poo off the ground. Like they have no idea what's going on. That's not what's going on with regard to the government. The legislative branch is corrupted, and so are the other two branches. This is a cult that created the illusion of maintaining a union. This is no union. They don't even actually care about it. The whole purpose is surveillance, and it's criminal. This is P.O.C. It's 5:15 p.m.
This is P.O.C. This is the entity that is stalking with the people of the state. They're flying in the trees. That's U.S., gang stalking again. U.S. that committed murder in Kentucky, intentionally crashing into buildings and killing people, where the entity had a fake sunset in Kentucky, where that plane crashed into that building and all those people were killed. This is where the entity's maintaining a fake sun, and UPS is engaged in criminal monitoring with the people of the state. A bunch of psychopaths driving on C Street, and I'm being touched with impossible light over here, where a society of demons that thought that they were going to steal my wealth are targeting with impossible light activity because they're monitoring spirits. Monitoring spirits are engaged in systematic murder in the United States. And this is, while they are creating the illusion of a union, this is actually a massive cult. And they're engaged in demonic activity. And it includes corrupt companies like UPS. They engage in what is sacrificing people.
Legally, that shall be the criminal conspiracy to commit murder, where you're engaging in stalking like UPS is under a fake sun at 5:42 p.m. Remember, C. Gerber is here in the same location on March 3rd, 2026 at 10:02 a.m., 10:17 a.m. I'm here while the entity is gang stalking me, and I go to the OVITT Family Community Library day in and day out. This is where UPS is stalking. This is where the Ontario police are going to be disbanded. This is where the entity is going to be federally prosecuted regarding the people of the state that are indeed engaged in disgusting things such as vagina monitoring. And those sex offenders are hostile because the truth is being exposed, and then you obstruct justice by engaging in acts of discrimination, like excluding me from the venue where you see them engaging in the very criminal activity while I'm outside of the same venue. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It's 5:42 p.m. That's the Ontario City Hall. The sun's not going to be over the Ontario City Hall at 9:30 in the morning, and I'm still looking at the City Hall, and I'm still looking at the same light source. This is not the sun. The Ontario City Hall is a state facilitating venue. I'm going to federally prosecute all the cockroaches that maintain office. The Ontario City Hall, the Ontario City Council, P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the entity that's obsessively stalking. Obsessively. You will see on the X feed the thread, and I'm just showing plane after plane after plane. This is referred to as psychopathic pacing. And you'll see the demons who are the people of the state that share in that. Walking by in opposite directions, driving by in the engineered light, stalking in the path where the entity kept the fake sun right here all day long, where the fake moon is over me, where the Ontario Police Department are stalking by helicopter. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down. It is a matter of national security. This is also relevant to the absurdity, to the psychopathic disorders that are shared by a population. These are not just crazy people who are stalking, not just criminals. These are demons, and they're mentally ill. The entities engaging in this, and this is evidence that is not only published on my Google Drive in the folder for today, but it is on the X so that you can see a vivid illustration of how I'm going to prosecute in court. The entity that's engaging in this, they will be subject to what are examinations. They're going to be committed. It's not just going to be a criminal prosecution for criminal stalking and furtherance of murder, criminal enterprise that's already established, the P.O.C. The entity that's stalking in these particular ways are going to be subject to commitments. The entity's been maintaining ongoing psychotic pacing. So have the people. This is pacing that they're maintaining on the side of the library, pacing across this walkway in front of me. Pacing is identified in the specific environment. They have the fake sun all day, and this is the fake moon. This is where the entity is stalking, flying over literally the Ontario City Hall. This is all at the same time, the simultaneous massive prosecution of the demons that are engaging in the pattern of conduct in Ontario, California. It's currently 9:35 p.m. This is the P.O.C. This is the prosecution of the U.S. government in Ontario, California. This is the evidence, the airport stalking, the people of the state stalking, the entity engaging in this through the airport in the city is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. All of what the city of Ontario is doing is supporting what is an inevitable disbanding of those thugs who are engaging in criminal surveillance, and they thought that gang stalking me was going to result in their ability to get away with stealing my inheritance, which is only accomplished through the criminal act, the terrorist act of criminal defamation. The psychopaths that are monitoring my vagina, stalking me in helicopters and in airplanes, they're going to be subject to what are examinations, mental examinations. They're going to be subject to not only a federal prosecution as terrorists, they're going to prison, and they're going to be subject to what are commitments. This is relevant to, this is why I'm documenting, because the case is already closed. They are going to be committed. This is the P.O.C. They share that with the people. The people of the state, they're going to find out that they did not want to go in with the government, and they should have stopped a long time ago, because they're going to be committed and they're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:36 p.m. under the fake moon at the OVITT Family Community Library. Alrighty, I just want you to pay attention. This is Wells Fargo that's going to be prosecuted for stalking. The people of the state engage in surveillance, utilizing the venue, simultaneously reversing while the demons are stalking by plane as I move from place to place. This is the entity that does so while the fake moon remain over me. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is the fake moon moving as I move. No longer over the OVITT Family Community Library. That is an airport that is stalking. That's a population that is stalking, and the establishments will be prosecuted as stalkers. I want to be clear, Wells Fargo is not being violated or being innocently, is innocent while they're being accused of criminal conduct that they're not engaged in. To the contrary, that's why the fake sun is remaining over Wells Fargo, as I documented, from day until evening. That's why the entity is stalking me by helicopter at Wells Fargo. That's why the people of the state are molesting with impossible light at Wells Fargo. That's why the venue is present while that third-party patron is the same exact conduct that the employees at Wells Fargo share in. And you will be prosecuted, period. Where the entity is engaging in what is using that establishment, where the entity is using a whole environment,
and the entities engaging in stalking like the Ontario Police, Wells Fargo needs to prepare for being federally prosecuted as conspiring murder with the government. Okay, that's the mentally ill behavior, and Wells Fargo is definitely going to be prosecuted while I am documenting in my life while the Ontario Police Department are stalking me by helicopter. This is a threat posed by Wells Fargo that is engaged in the pattern of conduct, and that will prosecute and criminally. This is the entity that is mentally ill stalking with light. That's what the reversal at the same time that the demon is stalking in a plane while they're engaged in. That's the mental illness when you're stalking in a helicopter and you're being prosecuted. You're not even accomplishing your purposes. This is why martial law is needed. These are unstable psychopaths who are accustomed to getting away with murdering people and then pacing all around them and eating cats and babies. Okay, and then having sex with each other. Now they're engaging in their satanic, ritualistic conduct, which is criminal in front of everyone, and the world is witnessing the mentally ill that surround you. They are the demon possessed. Wells Fargo is being prosecuted for everything that I just pointed out that I analyzed. Okay, and I don't have to go get that demon that's a coward running away while they know that they're being documented. This is the pattern of conduct in furtherance of murder. This is their co-defendant, 9WNS073. That's accomplishing the same purposes. The people of the state, every neighborhood, every street, every license plate, everybody that I document, every social security number that I put on the record at Alvarado Gardens, it's the same entity. They're all being federally prosecuted. They are already defeated. The mentally ill don't know when to sit down. And with regard to a prosecution, that is speaking to what is federal prison for many, many people. Since you cannot stop, you will be restrained. This is P.O.C. This is the mental illness of Mike LORENZ while the entity is stalking me by plane at St. George Catholic Church. They're sitting around engaging in surveillance in the dark parking lot, monitoring with that police department that's stalking flying over my head at the library under a fake sun, and now they're doing so under a fake moon. That's Mike LORENZ's mental illness that everybody is witnessing. While the people of the state sharing stalking with light activity, Metro 102, I've already documented them, that entire apartment complex, and everybody in that parking lot, they're already on the record, published on YouTube, and every single last one is getting federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. Surveillance, 8ASZ521, all of them stalking, 8SIS875, surveillance and furtherance of murder. This is the mental illness of Mike LORENZ. Pay attention, here's my shadow on the ground. Right in front of me, here's a shallow one. While their co-defendants are pacing, 8KWK677, stalking with the police department, stalking a woman in the middle of the night, doing so under the fake moon, looking to the left and right like nothing's happening. They're going to be committed with this conduct. This is the Ontario Police Department that's gang stalking as an entity. They're vagina monitors. And they engage in criminal summoning with this same conduct. They're going to prison, okay? When I'm walking through the neighborhood and I get a whole street full of vagina monitors, every single last one's being prosecuted. Every single last one, they're sitting in their car stalking. They're all under the fake moon. That's reminding over me. I'm prosecuting the entire city of Ontario. They're losing custody of their kids. They're getting deported out of this country. 7BUD973. These are terrorists. And they're mentally ill. They're all demons. Every single last one of them. All of them are demons. AWMX713. And they share in monitoring genitalia with those under the age of majority. They're sex offenders. They give birth to demons that are monitoring with the government that's stalking by helicopter. They're going to, I just want to be clear, this right here is sexual assault and battery, and this is the entity that's engaging in that with minor children. That's prison. This is prison for all of them because they're stalked with Ontario police right now. This is P.O.C. And this is the gang violence for which Mike LORENZ is going to prison. Every kidnapper of that agency, the Ontario police, is going to prison, and they're being disbanded for this very gang violence. They're sitting in the dark, engaging in surveillance with the entity that's stalking as an airport, stalking where I'm going from place to place, acting with impunity, just sitting engaging in conspicuous surveillance in plain sight, as though there are no consequences, and federal law is going to teach them a lesson. There are severe consequences. Severe. This is P.O.C. I want to be clear. They will never expunge the prosecution for terrorism off of their record. You are not staying in the country as a gang stalking immigrant. Anybody in that household, it's not just going to be them. They bring the federal government to the entire household. Any and everybody that can be deported is being deported. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and they're doing so with, you need to understand, the government is engaging in this desperation. They will not stop stalking. They will not stop following you around. They will not stop being predators following you at all places and at all times. This is what this is evidence of. This is mentally ill conduct. They are demons. They're not normal, healthy human beings. This is ongoing surveillance by the Ontario police. The Ontario police are no more. They're a threat to the public. They are being shut down permanently. There will be no police department in Ontario, California. This is P.O.C. It is currently this mentally ill behavior by the city of Ontario, the co-conspirators of murder. These demons stole my inheritance. These demons stole my identity. These demons engage in criminal activity and then try to blame me for it. These demons defame my character while they're stalking me in this absurdly psychotic method, keeping my vagina under surveillance. Violent sex offenders acting as a population, lurking in the middle of the night, still refusing to stop engaging in criminal conduct, psychotic, out of their minds. I'm going to prosecute every single last one of them. License 9BBX737. This is P.O.C. That's sexual assault and battery. And this is, again, the disbanding. This violence you're subject to because Mike Lorenz is, convinced that he can get away with stealing from you and because he's obsessed with your vagina. That's why you got strangers stalking me. I'm going to prosecute him and I'm going to prosecute them. All right, this is outrageous what the government is doing, and I'm going to prosecute for it. This is P.O.C. And the demons stalking in the airport, with the airplanes, they're being committed as well. This is all under the fake moon. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 10:09 p.m. The old people are not asleep. They're monitoring. Okay? They're engaged in that pattern of, they're not getting any government benefits. Nobody's paying their rent. They're not paying for their prescriptions. If you're relying upon the government will no longer be funding any money, any resources to terrorists. And that's exactly how the elderly in Ontario are going to be treated, exactly as what they are. This is the entity of the O.C. with everyone over and under the age of majority, including those that are well over the age of majority. This is P.O.C. This was a parking lot full of stalkers while the airport and the police are stalking me and using venues such as Wells Fargo to do so. They're psychotic. This is ongoing obsession. Refusal to stop stalking, I will prosecute under the law. This is Ontario Police License 7 David Jerry Frank 401. Refusal to stop stalking. Refusal. There is a federal response for that refusal. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:10 p.m. All right, this is sexual assault and battery by the entity that's monitoring as I'm publishing on the internet. And you already know what the Ontario Police, what Union Pacific, what the Ontario International Airport is engaging in. And this is a pattern of conduct shared by the demons that they're all pacing around. They're psychopaths. Engaging in this conduct together, looking like they're confused while they're being documented. This is a homosexual predator, another gay female that wants to touch on me with her gang stalking male counterpart who's obsessed with my vagina. He doesn't really like her. They're here stalking. That's impossible light activity, 9UYN650. And that's with the Ontario Police Department. This is mental illness. She's going to be subject to mental examinations. This is P.O.C. These are the demons that are gang stalking. Okay, P.O.C. It's currently, by the way, 10:17 p.m. Another sex offender. Under the fake moon. There's no mistake. That's a demon, and they're violent sex offenders. Let's get her gang stalking counterpart, because they're both demons and they're pacing together. These are the demons that get together and they give birth to demons monitoring in the U.S. with the government. License plate, that's pacing. License 9V2U725. They're all together. They're supposedly dating or whatever. They're focused on my vagina. Pacing with the amplified noise in the engineered light, under the fake moon, while the entity maintains the public nuisance, which is Union Pacific's federal prosecution. Sex offenders sharing in that over and over and over again. The government's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender, and so will the people. It's all going under every one of their federal prosecutions. The entity's criminal pattern of conduct is going under the individual within that entity, every single last person. They're all being prosecuted for conspiracy to murder, sex trafficking, for theft of my inheritance, fraud, mail fraud, all the multiple ways the entity engaged. They're all being prosecuted for all of it. Conspiracy to murder while they're engaging in what is the obstruction of justice. They're all being prosecuted. And the entity's engaged in what is human rights violations while they're gang stalking. And they're doing that together. But I want you to look at a practical breakdown of what this is. These demons don't even like each other. They're not in love. They're not concerned about each other. They're not minding their business. They're not living their lives. They don't have an existence. The demon possessed are concerned with monitoring. The U.S. government is concerned with monitoring. They're engaged in monitoring those who are a threat to the kingdom of darkness, who are a threat to exposing this criminal system, who are a threat because they cannot be controlled. They refuse to engage in this groupthink conduct. This is the entity that's engaged in that. They're not concerned with dating each other and being with each other. They're both obsessed with my vagina. They're sex offenders. The entity is going to be prosecuted for that ongoing malicious system underway by the people of the state. This is the entity that's doing that pattern of conduct over and 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 over again. P.O.C. It is currently 10:20 p.m. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. I just want you to see this right here.
This is the entity that is gang stalking. First of all, this is what you already know. This is all an engineered light under the fake moon that remains over me. It doesn't remain over any other person. The sun doesn't travel remaining over anyone else while you see it remain over my person. It's the same thing with the fake moon. So this is the context. I want to document the entity that is gang stalking. I just captured images. The entity is not any longer flying over the OVITT Family Community Library over here. The fake moon's not over there. The fake moon is over me, right here. The fake moon is over me, and this is where the entity is stalking over here where I'm located by commercial planes. These are stalkers. Now, what they have in their custody is, first of all, a tent. Okay? I want to make sure that I'm documenting these are gang stalkers that are engaged in, first of all, stalking. It's all criminal monitoring. And it's also a malicious means of engaging in what is criminal summoning. And how is that, you may think? The entity is engaged in what is violation of the municipal code. And this is the entity that's engaged in what is criminal surveillance. So all of this is an illusion regarding authority that the Ontario Police do not have. The people of the state and the Ontario Police Department, as you're understanding criminal surveillance, sharing what is criminal summoning. So you will have the people of the state engage in what is going to attract. This is criminal summoning. Okay, going to attract the so-called police department while they're engaged in camping at the Ontario Town Square under the fake moon, where the target is sleeping, which they all know that they're stalking, and then they're engaging. Oh, we're here because the people of the state are camping, and that is then the means whereby the police are in relevant position to engage in harassing and kidnapping me. Okay, while I'm at the square, this is a threat. Okay, they're engaged in what is putting up a tent. Erecting a tent at the Ontario Town Square where they're engaged in that pattern of conduct. And this is the entity that is stalking, monitoring my vagina, molesting with impossible light. This is gang stalking, and the demons are engaged in what is gang stalking with the government while they pitching a tent up in the dark at the town square. Are these minors gang stalking over here? Because that's what the government's engaged in. This is P.O.C. They're monitoring right now while the entity's signing plane activity. I guess we're folding up the tent. I want to get that on the record. This is what the entity's engaged in. That's a threat. And I'm going to document all threats. It will never provide any probable cause of reasonable suspicion. It does not exist under the Constitution, state and federal, to engage in criminal surveillance. And somehow you have under the legal doctrines reasonable suspicion, probable cause by virtue of violating some city the penal code or any section of the law. The entities engaging in surveillance that's directly rebutting that you have things such as probable cause of reasonable suspicion. However, this is how the entity that's engaged in gang stalking, criminal surveillance, again, engages in what is exploitation of, first of all, the Constitution, and second of all, the doctrine whereby the entity is actually engaged in state surveillance, targeting, and doing so under the malicious guise of being engaged in law enforcement. Police officers engage in what is the exercise of authority under the Constitution, under the doctrines of reasonable suspicion, probable cause. They're actually engaged in fact gathering. They're actually engaged in attaining information and gathering it in real time. They're not stalking. They're not engaged in surveillance. They're not engaged in vagina monitoring. They're not following you around already knowing what you're doing. And then like a mentally ill psychopath who is also delusional, because they're being documented and they also know that, but they're also not delusional, and then engaging in being in your face as though they're not engaged in that criminal activity, and that they're learning about everything that you're engaging in real time, and that they have authority under these doctrines. This is entirely malicious, and it is the formula to engage in what is kidnapping and murder. All right, and when the entity engages in that through the people of the state, that's why they're going to prison. This is a threat to me. And not only while the entity is engaged in gang stalking me, but doing so while you're violating the municipal code. The entity has no authority under the law, under me. I don't care that the people of the state don't enforce their constitutional rights, and these are puppets gang stalking with the state. That's a threat to me while the entity engages in that. So I want to make sure I document that. Okay, while they violate the municipal code, while they're monitoring, psychopaths engaging what is stalking with light, they're engaging in, that's speaking to the threat that they pose. All they're doing is monitoring. They're gang stalking together, doing so in a tent. I am not violating the municipal code. The entity is engaged in what is stealing my money. Mike LORENZ stole my money. This little brokey, this psychopath, this vagina monitor stole from me. That's not a violation of the municipal code. Okay? So I'm going to digress on that. The entity is engaged in criminal conduct, and I want to make sure I document every form of a threat. When you are engaged in criminal surveillance, you have zero authority under the laws as they exist, nor do you have authority to execute. Okay? You're engaged in stalking. You're engaged in stalking while you wear police uniforms. That's all that's a glorified criminal. And I'm going to prosecute. I'm going to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. This is P.O.C. So I want to make sure that I document that. That's the entity that's engaged in that. That is a threat. So I want to make sure that I document, because there is no iteration of the P.O.C. that's anything other than that. But that's the way in which one of the entity engages in that. They're engaging in criminal summoning, a traffic stop that's around you. Oh, and that's how the police found out that you're over. It's the P.O.C.
They're psychopaths. The fake moon is over you. The fake sun is rising over you. The entity is stalking by the airport. The entity is engaged in what is the maintenance of that pattern of conduct. And the entity is doing that with the gang stalking police in whatever city that you're at in this country. That's how that pattern of conduct operates. They're terrorists and they're going to be prosecuted accordingly. You're going to watch the Ontario Police Department be made an example around the world, because the world is going to learn that the United States is not for or pro terrorism. And they will watch domestic terrorists in this country be treated like the enemies that they are. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:36 p.m. So let me show you engineer light. Here's my shadow, multiple shadows right in front of me. Okay, so you have these little prepubescent demons that are gang stalking me. Their parents letting them out, engaging in criminal activity, and that's the norm. Okay, this lawlessness, it's a society of lawless criminals, and that's what's gang stalking me. And they're sharing in that with regard to the demons that are driving around and stalking me in helicopters. And that's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. It is literally their fault. In the same way that they would like to claim that they're responsible for the lowered crime rate that the demons are creating. They're the ones that are the criminals out here. They're manufacturing all that information while they're actually engaged in surveillance. They're playing cops and robbers out here. But nonetheless, in the same way that they would like to assume responsibility for that and champion that, they're also championing the lawlessness in the city. You're going to be prosecuted for that. You're the one to blame for it, especially while it's your pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. That is the entity that's engaging what is a method of threatening you. That's a threat. P.O.C. It's 11:37 p.m.